What's good, YouTube? It's your boy EGF Hoops here with another amazing YouTube video, man. We got an NBA recap for y'all. As you can tell by the title, obviously. Hit that sub button. We are one sub away from 50 subs. Comment down below if you took any of these games serious or are they just regular season games to you. And like the video because it will help out my channel a lot. I'm trying to get out more. I'm trying to hit 100 subs by the end of this month, hopefully. Seems impossible, but I think we can do it, y'all. Disclaimer, these videos are 100% uncut, unedited, genuine. You will not see any cuts in this video. Now we're going to get straight into this, man. We had a great two-game slate last night between the 76ers and the Nets and the Warriors and the Nuggets. Pretty good game slate. Pretty good anticipated game slate, man. We're going to get into the Brooklyn Nets versus Philadelphia first, and it was a manslaughter from the start. Harden shot like 1 for 10 in the first, Harden shot 1 for 10 in the first quarter alone. It was not a pretty sight. A lot of those shots was contested. Kyrie Irving played some pretty great defense, but the wide open ones wasn't really going in either. Joel Embiid got Bruce Brown into some foul trouble late. We saw some tic-tac fouls from Kevin Durant as well in that first half. I think Joel Embiid had shot 13 free throws in the first half alone. He shot 13 free throws in the first half alone, and I think Harden finished that first half shooting like 3 for 14, and it just wasn't a pretty sight in my opinion. I made a video 2 months ago about this exact team, the 76ers, and I said they wasn't going to be contenders, and I got a lot of backlash for it. And I'm just happy that this happened because what I said in that video happened tonight. I got a lot of backlash on YouTube. I got a lot of backlash on TikTok. I got a lot of backlash on Twitter. You should go follow me on all three, and I told you to hit that sub button. I got a lot of backlash, and it pretty much showed tonight. Outside of James Harden and Joel Embiid, sorry for that little brain fart, there's nobody that I trust to give me consistent buckets. Tyrese Maxey looked like a deer in headlights today. He had shot a lot of questionable shots. He had a couple air balls. He shot 2 for 7. Just a terrible game of Tyrese Maxey. James Harden wasn't there to set him up because James Harden was getting double teamed off of every screen. And they allowed Joel Embiid to roll off the screen just for Kevin Durant or whoever was guarding Matisse Thybulle to slide over and try and help. Sometimes it results in a foul. You got some stops doing that. But the problem is that, like I said, these role players on this team is not it. Tobias Harris is inconsistent, and Matisse Thybulle is more of an offensive liability than Ben Simmons was. They're not guarding him on the three-point line. They're not guarding him offensively, period, except for when he's in a restricted area, to be honest with you. Which is why I said it wouldn't work. They tried to say this thing where you can't double-team Harden or Joel Embiid, and what you really can't, again, you have to pick on that screen whether you're going to double-team Harden or Embiid, but Embiid will never be open as the rolling man, because whoever's guarding Matisse Thybulle is just going to slide over. Or whoever's guarding Tyrese Maxey when he's having an off night is just going to slide over. And I understand Tyrese Maxey is shooting a career high from 3, even though it's only year 2. But again, I don't trust it on a consistent basis. And the Brooklyn Nets didn't either, obviously. Outside of that, on the other side of the ball, Brooklyn pretty much tore up this team a lot. In transition, they ruined. Their transition offense ran the 76ers out of the fucking building. It was terrible. Their transition offense off of turnovers, their transition offense off of just defensive rebounds at times. Kyrie Irving had 2 buzzer beaters in the first and second quarter, and it just looked terrible. With the combination of, I think a lot of people did not anticipate for Seth Curry to be this big for the Brooklyn Nets, honestly. I think we all forgot that Seth Curry was just that good of a spot-up shooter and just that good of an off-ball spot-off shooter, if that makes sense. You know, shooting off the run, maybe. Not off the dribble, off the run, but he's also good at shooting off the dribble, too. He had a couple of those boys in front of the 76ers bench. Seth ended up with 24 points. And again, we did not anticipate just what Seth Curry was going to do for this offense. To have Seth Curry running around the perimeter while you have Kyrie or KD in a pick-and-roll action, and you have Kevin Durant or Kyrie also standing somewhere bringing spacing, is just a lot for most NBA teams to handle. You can't leave any of those 3 open, and it was really just crazy. Andre Drummond got in late. What was that? That second half, we ain't even in the second half yet. We can get into the second half right now. Second half, wasn't much of a different story for Philadelphia. I don't think Joel Embiid made another free throw in that second half because he didn't go back to the line. Steve Nash put Andre Drummond in, who played surprisingly some pretty disciplined defense on Joel Embiid. James Johnson played some disciplined defense on Joel Embiid. Bruce Brown played some pretty disciplined defense on Joel Embiid. And I don't know if they really played disciplined defense because Joel Embiid was trying to foul bait a lot, which resulted in players just doing this. And Joel Embiid just jagging up a pretty stupid shot, which pretty much shot them out the game. I think James Harden went 2 for 2 in that third quarter, but didn't really result in much because the game was pretty much over. I saw a lot of backlash for people talking about this Brooklyn Nets team as if they was pretty much not contenders or they're not worried about them because of Kyrie's part-time status. But they don't realize that the Nets is the bottom of the East, and they're probably going to end up being an 8th, 7th, or 6th seed, meaning that Kyrie's going to be available 4 out of the 7 games in a 7-game series, which may be just enough. And with the acquisition of Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Goran Dragic, and being able to put Nicholas Claxton on the bench, I think it's pretty huge for the Nets. They gave them depth. The only problem with the Nets last year was that they did not have depth. They took the Milwaukee Bucks, the future champs, to 7 games with Harden and Kyrie being out ever since Game 3. I understand Harden came back in like Game 6 and 7, but that wasn't Harden. He didn't really play. He didn't do much on offense or defense. It was just Kevin Durant. So this team, to me, still very much so is the favorite. I think Miami is up there with them. I think Brooklyn's up there with them. But I think the 76ers alone just isn't. And again, Tyrese Maxey looked like a deer in headlights all last night. I'm just checking to see if I have any other notes down. I just wrote some notes while watching the game. Yeah, and the Nets played great defense as a whole. And I forgot this whole time talking right now that Ben Simmons isn't here and he didn't play. So if we got this team doing this, locking up that whole Joel Embiid and James Harden thing, I understand it's one game, so don't cook me or try and chew me for it. What do you think is going to happen when Ben Simmons comes back? I think the game plan is pretty straightforward, and the 76ers don't have anybody to take Matisse Thybulle out of the lineup to try and make it work better, because if they do that, they will be sacrificing defense on the other side of the ball. Maxey is not a great defender. Harden is not a good defender. Tobias Harris can hold his own. And who is they going to put in at the 4? Korkmaz, who is a terrible defender. You just have Joel Embiid over there, who I think is like ranked 5th amongst centers in defensive rating. And yeah, that was pretty much it for that game. It was kind of funny seeing the Harden slander all last night. It was pretty funny to me. And again, I feel like I just highlighted this, but I don't really see why we all thought the Nets wasn't going to be the Nets, or why we thought the Nets wasn't really going to be that dangerous. I had watched Skip and Shannon. I know I don't really watch them that often, but I watched a segment about them, and they said that they gave them a 2% chance to go to the finals, which I thought it was just pretty fucking crazy. And that was all because of Kyrie Irving's vaccination status, but Kevin Durant did this stuff alone last year while the Bucks was one of the best defensive teams in the league. Drew Holiday is an all-NBA defender. Brooke Lopez was an all-NBA defender. Chris Middleton's a former all-NBA defender. Giannis is a former DPOY. That's 4 all-NBA level defenders on that team, and they still couldn't stop Kevin Durant by himself. So I don't see why we thought that this was going to happen now that Kevin Durant has an actual 7-footer on his team and Andre Drummond. He has more ball movement and Seth Curry. He has more game managers with vets and Patty Mills and Goran Dragic. Claxton has looked better this year than he did last year, and James Johnson has played a little bit better basketball. So yeah, I don't really see why this team was starting to fall and wasn't that scary anymore. But to me, being a Bucks fan, they still are just that scary. I think I spent enough time on this team. I'm going to go to the Warriors and Denver game. Let me pull up the notes for that game. Let me get the stats ready for that game. But while I do that, let's talk about it. In that first half, man, I thought the Nuggets won the game. I shouldn't have thought it because the Nuggets are ranked 25th and 3rd and 4th quarter opponents' points per game. But I thought the game was over, man. I'm going to start off talking about the Warriors. The Warriors need Draymond Green still, and it shows on both sides of the ball. I understand they got this win out. I understand Curry shot 11 for 21 and ended up with 34, 9, and 3. Clay ended up with 18. And Poole ended up with 21, but it was not a pretty game for that team at all, especially in the first half, and especially defensively, it was not a pretty game. In that first half, the Denver Nuggets was getting whatever they wanted in that paint. I think Nikola Jokic he scored their first 3 baskets, all being in the paint. He was posting people up. The double teams did not matter. It just showed that they needed Draymond Green. And again, like last night, this was the second of a back-to-back for Denver. Last night, I talked about them when they played the Kings. And I could tell it was a little bit of fatigue here, but that's not going to be an excuse for what the Denver Nuggets did in that second half. We talking about the first half. The first half was pretty much the same as the whole Sacramento game. The Jokic and Monty Morris show. Monty Morris does not get talked about enough in this league, and I think we need to appreciate that man more. Because when MPJ and Murray come back, he's still going to play a big part in this offense. I like how he stepped up ever since Jeremy Grant left for the Pistons. He stepped up. We saw Klay Thompson get going early too. A lot of contested shots from the Warriors in general, to be honest with you. I think that is because Draymond is not here. Andrew Wiggins has struggled ever since the ever since the All-Star break, which I think is contributing to him getting less opportunity with Klay coming back, and because Draymond is not here to set up the whole offense. I don't know. I mean, the Warriors still had a lot of great off-ball movement. I love watching their off-ball movers play. I look at their off-ball movements more than I look at the person on the ball, whether it's Curry or Wiggins or Clay, who got forced into a lot of isolations due to Denver's defense, for one, and stopping all the off-ball movement that the Warriors tried to do in the first half. And because, again, Draymond is not there. They really need a facilitator out there because I do not like seeing Clay taking multiple fadeaways from the mid-range. I like his efficient shots, which is him coming off screens, cutting hard, and having to facilitate like Draymond and see him. Same for Curry. A lot of people don't realize that 70% of Curry's threes in his career is assisted. And the person who passed him the ball the most for those threes was Draymond Green. And he really does need them again. He ended up shooting 5 for 12 in the second half from 3, but in the beginning of this game, he shot 3 for 10 in the first half. And it showed that he needed Draymond. I don't want to say need Draymond Green, but Draymond Green will help this team a lot. Andrew Wiggins and him getting isolations just simply wasn't working. His shot wasn't falling. He shot 1 for 7 for 3 in this game. He had all of his takes to the rim. He didn't really make. He got stopped a lot by Jokic. And yeah, the story of this game was really Jonathan Kuminga with his energy and his hard-ass cuts, man. I was talking about the Warriors' off-ball movements, and they move a lot. I love watching their off-ball movements. It's like they have a lot of spot-up shooters, whether it's Jordan Poole or Moses Moody, who's a decent three-point shooter, Klay Thompson, Kuminga at times, JTA, Jordan Poole, I think I said his name already. A lot of great shooters, but they do not stay in place. Like, they space the floor great in Golden State, but they'll stay in place for 1 to 2 seconds before moving. And that movement will become a hard cut, or it'll become an off-ball screen, or be some type of movement on the perimeter that I just love to see. And it keeps the defenders, it makes it hard for defenders to help on players like Steph Curry. It's hard to double team Steph Curry when everybody is always moving. It's too much to try and guard that one person. But the first half was pretty ugly for the Golden State Warriors. And again, the Denver Nuggets, it was basically the Nikola Jokic and Monty Morris show all first half. Aaron Gordon struggled. And I want to highlight that the Warriors played some pretty bad defense, which is why I think they really need Draymond Green. I think the more debuckle in the second half was more of the Nuggets' bad offense than the Golden State Warriors' good defense. Steph Curry played some pretty good defense on Aaron Gordon when those switches came in. Moses Moody is a pretty good defender, y'all. I don't think people realize how good Moses Moody is on defense. He's just not as disciplined, which is pretty expected as him being a rookie. He got into some foul trouble early. Some fouls on Brent Forbes, some fouls on Jokic. He had 4 fouls in like the first half, I believe. Had to take him out, but what do you expect from a young guy? But in that second half, the Warriors came out gun blazing. I think Curry scored 18 points in that third quarter alone. I don't know what happened, but they fell down. They scored almost 37, almost 40 points in that third quarter alone. Curry had 18, and Jokic's production went down. He shot 2 fade in that second half entirely. Nobody on the Nuggets team made more than 2 field goals in that second half outside of Monty Morris. He went 5 for 9, I believe. Yeah, he went 5 for 9 in the second quarter alone. And like I said, it just showed why the Nuggets ranked 25th in opponents' points per game in that third and fourth quarter. It's not really much else that I can really take from this game with both teams being injured, but it does excite me for the playoffs. I'm excited to see Philly losing 5 to whether it's Brooklyn, Milwaukee, or the Heat. I can't wait till we get them out of here because all these Philly fans are pretty dumb. I can't wait. I want to see a Golden State versus Denver series now with Draymond there and MPJ and Murray on the other side. I'm ready for the playoffs in general. And if you enjoyed this video, man, this was a pretty good video if you ask me. If you enjoyed this video, hit that sub button. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers. This was a successful NBA recap, and I got another one for y'all maybe tonight or tomorrow night. We got a decent slate of games tonight. We got Atlanta versus the Clippers. That's going to be a good game. Dallas versus Houston. I may watch it just to see Luka. Cleveland versus Miami might be. No, Jared Allen's injured. That might not be all right. New York versus Memphis should be okay. Charlotte versus the Pelicans should be a decent game. I expect a big game out of Valanciunas. The Lakers play the Wizards, so I might make a video on that. I might make a video tonight. Toronto versus Phoenix might be a pretty good game. Toronto trying to get better seeding, and Phoenix still missing CP3. This is like Booker's 3rd game back. But that's it. I love y'all more than I love myself. All my main channels in the description. I have a main channel where I'm trying to hit 600 subscribers. So you go check that out down below if you like my personality. Like the video. I got a basketball podcast too if you want to check that out with a friend off TikTok. And I know him in real life, my cousin, Mikey Who Talks. If you don't know him, go check him out too. I have a reaction channel too. I posted 3 videos in 2 days on there. So you should go check that out too. I love y'all more than I love myself. And we are out. Peace, y'all.